So what I want to kind of bring out is just a couple of sample products. So obviously most of you are going to be aware we have standard kind of what we call our static color changing effect. So the entire piece that's connected to your control element, that's going to be changing. So when we talk about, what are our control points? They're going to be our decoders. So what we're actually doing when we're creating a fixture, when we're bringing in our drivers, we're controlling the decoders, not just the tape behind it. So you can have multiple pieces of tape hooked up to our decoder, and that all acts as one fixture itself. However, in the new digital kind of world, these IC chips that you're seeing on the products right on our tape, that is the actual decoder itself. So this uses essentially it is a TTL communication or transistor logic, but it is a writable DMX responsive chip. Where, how many are familiar with SPI out there? Serial Protocol Interface. Ever heard of WS2811? Maybe on some of those? Okay, so these are serial communication interfaces for dynamic lighting like this, where we're controlling different elements. Our products that we've designed, we've put actual straight DMX into those. How many are familiar with DMX? Digital multiplex. Good, okay. So these units have a writer, and then you can write them. So you basically hook them up to the writer, you write the starting address to it, and it will respond to DMX after that. How many have worked with our, small town here, Syntegration Prolux IP gateway driver and the drivers themselves? Any of us? Okay. So we're all kind of familiar with integrating our static dynamic changing. We have our presets, we got our lighting control, all easy enough to kind of piece together. But really, what's the best way to control multiple fixtures when we're talking less than 4 inches and a single reel of tape can contain up to 200 addresses? So it's 50 fixtures for a single reel of tape. So we can try to use advanced lighting scenes. We can try to kind of like stagger those effects, but it's just going to have too much latency. And honestly, that's a lot of work. So what we use on the commercial side, and these are just one of many units, but our DMX controller. So this is a programmable controller with its own program, free from us, but you program the effects in there. So you're patching the addresses in there, you're applying the effects in their GUI interface that they have there. You can play with a bunch of effects. And then with our Pixel integration gateway, we're using RS-232 communication. But previously, we used to use a lot of contact closures to kind of trigger that same low-level communication between devices. So I have this control system A, I need to talk to this control system B. I can have a series of contact closures, trigger scene 1, trigger scene 2, trigger scene 3. That's fine, but sometimes you're not really gonna have enough room to get like a multiplex contact closure system, right? Those IT rooms, those network rooms, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Everywhere they're going. So our RS-232 has a lot of hard-coded commands for each of these controllers. So it's all the start scenes, all the stop scenes, everything in there. So you can put into, you bring in the driver, and then all you're going to do is assign it in the programming side, those functions to whatever you want, whether it's custom buttons, hard-coded buttons, wherever you want to put them. I just kind of put them here on the custom button side where I can trigger different scenes in there, and then it will run. So we're putting basically all the horsepower of controlling those designs in that unit, and we're keeping the integration here, and very simple with one simple wire. So most of our, our old EAs, right? We just have a 3.5 millimeter jack, took an aux cable, cut it in half, wired it to here, you're ready to go. A lot of others use kind of a DB9 adapter to the RJ45s, but this creates a great way to trigger those effects. And you can automate those effects you need, but without the need to kind of put all the horsepower into the Control4 system and have the network traffic going back and forth to maintain that. Now these commands can be changed to any of the commands in here. So a lot of these controllers can control up to 5 different zones simultaneously with their own effects, 99 plus scenes apiece. You can control dimming up and down of these effects through those same buttons. You can control the speed of the effect. So once you do the effect, you can apply those on there. We have blackout scenes that they can run to. So it's a very simple integration with that driver, and all it takes is one little cable coming to here. So, very simple overhaul. Does anybody have any questions about kind of basic pixel integration? Yeah. From here? Sure. So we're going to have our power. That's going to be 2 wires. And then we have 2 other additional signal wires. That's it. So it's going to share the reference ground with the power ground. Your DMX positive and negative is going to be a wire, so that's going to use your shielded Cat5, Cat6, and then your power from your power supply. So the only time you're going to do it is you're going to lay out all your pieces. You're going to count all your nodes, right? So this is our RGBW pixel tape. So it's 4-inch controllability. There's 50 nodes per reel. And I can get, on a single DMX line, I can get 128 nodes, or 128 RGBW fixtures in a universe. This happens to have 2 universes. Now you're not going to be able to kind of daisy chain and go directly. Here we're talking about series wiring or decoders. These tape pieces cannot be series wired. So these are end units. So you're going to have to use splitters. So on many of those bill of materials you're going to get multiple runs of tape, and you're going to get a splitter to home run that data line, and then you can share a power bus with for the wires. But it's very simple to set up, and it takes one thing, or you lay them out how you want, or per the coordination drawings, you hook up your pixel writer, start at address 1, and we'll send you the protocols. So this is technically a TM512 AC protocol, but responds to direct DMX, which is RS485 based. Any other questions? Like if you have a wall station? Yeah, No, this is gonna be strictly, it's gonna be running off this controller or any other hard DMX controller to run it. No, that's why it's basically a smarter version of a bunch of contact closures. So this wire that's programmed with all those hard-coded RS-232 commands is about 30 different contact closure triggers in one wire. So that's what you're programming in there, is just the trigger portion. The programming of this is done here, and then all that software is free, the instructions are there, or you can have it pre-programmed here. We can just send it out ready to go. It'll depending on how you chop it up, you're going to get 128 nodes. So you're going to get 4 reels per universe, 8 reels per unit. But there's other controllers that scale from 2 universes, 8 universes, 4. So what we've had done in the driver is custom ASCII commands, which you'll find that this is probably one of the only drivers on the market to send out custom ASCII from the serial of Control4. So it allows us to integrate not just our current ones now, but our future generations and other integration components that use ASCII triggering.
So then this should work with any third-party controller, right?
Our controllers, yeah, it's just native with RS-232. It's just we had to get a driver built in for Control4. So, or you can just have it. We have ones that have HMI interfaces for people to run from there. Any other notes? I seem to have it. All right. Thank you very much.